Pathetic. Pathetic. The most crappiest news report ever. So, I'm going to show you something from a news segment. I'm not going to say anything. You watch it very carefully. Leave your comments below if you catch it. And then I'm going to give you commentary afterwards. I'm going to tell you what I saw. And you could compare notes if it's something you saw or if it's just something that you just missed.
More controversy surrounds Congresswoman Marjorie Greene. The Georgia Republican is now being slammed by fellow lawmakers, including members of her own party, after she compared a House mask mandate to the Holocaust.
KTLA 5's Trevor Shirley has more on this developing story from Washington, D.C.
Congresswoman Greene also criticized House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for making members disclose their vaccination status before taking their masks off on the House floor. During an interview with a conservative podcast, Congresswoman Greene compared mask requirements in Congress to the yellow stars of David, which Jews were forced to wear during the Holocaust. Greene also said the mask mandate in Congress is a form of abuse and criticized Pelosi for keeping it in place. Not surprisingly, Greene's comparison was condemned by prominent Jewish advocacy groups who called on her to apologize. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle also spoke out against what she said.
Any comparisons to the Holocaust, it's beyond reprehensible. I don't even have words to describe how disappointing it is to see this hyperbolic speech that frankly amps up and plays into a lot of the anti-Semitism that we've been seeing in our society today.
And Speaker Pelosi says the mask mandate in the House chamber will stay in place until more members get vaccinated. So far, more than 100 GOP representatives haven't said whether or not they've taken the shot. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley, KTLA 5 News.
Nearly 5 months after the U.S. Capitol insurrection, National Guard troops are leaving the nation's capital. The security mission of over 2,100 troops ended Sunday, and the Pentagon says an extension.
It's not like I'm shocked or anything, but I was just having lunch, watching the news report, and then something caught my eye. I said, okay, you know what? What's her name? Marjorie Greene, Marjorie Taylor Greene? Yeah, she's controversial, whatever. So, I'm open-minded. I said, you know what? Yeah, I don't mind. Help me develop some opinions about certain things. So I watched this news report, and it was already assuming that you had an opinion about a certain person. So that certain person, if you already don't like her, you don't even care what she had to say. But I was waiting the whole segment just to hear the audio of her saying what the news report had claimed for her claimed that she said. So I waited, and all it was a bunch of assumptions that you already have an opinion about the person, and assumptions that you already saw maybe the audio clip. I'm not going to go look for the audio clip because it was up to the news report to show the audio clip of her comparing the Holocaust to wearing masks. But then if you watch the news report, you're like, wait a second. I mean, if they're trying to find out your vaccination status or making you wear a mask or whatever, I mean, this is pretty much a self-contradictory kind of news report. So that is my opinion on the subject. And when they're comparing like Jewish hatred and saying that somehow it's the patriots and the conservatives that are causing the Jewish hatred, why don't you look up the squad? Look up the squad. Look up the Palestinian support system and all that stuff. I mean, they could both exist at the same time. But there's a certain group that says, oh no, we're not going to be happy till the Jewish people are gone. I don't know. If you look at it, I think it's one of those projecting. If I'm doing a certain thing, I'm going to accuse you of doing it because I'm doing it all along. So if someone's accusing you of something that they're doing, just like the Jewish hatred thing, I think it's them, supporting people getting beat on the street. No, dude, you have to be, I'm open-minded. You give me some facts and let me process it and I'll develop opinion. But don't be presenting facts to me if you assume that I'm supporting your opinion, or if there's an assumption that what I already have developed an opinion or a worldview. And like even with the thing that happened in January, the allegations of, you know what, really, I mean, let there be some sort of investigation happening. But because this world essentially is at a civil war and they're using the law to destroy people's lives, just like the news report that we just saw.
More controversy surrounds Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. The Georgia Republican is now being slammed by fellow lawmakers, including members of her own party, after she compared a House mask mandate to the Holocaust.
Because I will tell you right now, I'm with Israel. I'm with Israel on its right to exist. So these examples is going to come out more and more and more. Like you could even, if you even remember the story of Gina Carano and her getting in trouble for what she said.
Congresswoman Greene also criticized House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for making members disclose their vaccination status before taking their masks off on the House floor.
See, it's still a very curious thing to me. If you're watching a news report, shouldn't you watch it to develop your own opinion on a certain subject? So that's the first thing that I saw in the news report, is that it's not unbiased or trying to help you develop an opinion about certain subjects.
During an interview with a conservative podcast, Congresswoman Greene compared mask requirements in Congress to the yellow stars of David, which Jews were forced to wear during the Holocaust.
Like the subjects of masks, for example. I mean, could it be that the mask is really a symbol of some sort of oppression?
Greene also said the mask mandate in Congress is a form of abuse and criticized Pelosi for keeping it in place. Not surprisingly, Greene's comparison was condemned by prominent Jewish advocacy groups who called on her to apologize.
Anyways, I digress. The idea of an opinion is developed. Do you, like, just wrap your mind around it for a minute. If you're open-minded, you could watch a report and develop your own opinion. But lately, the media, the news reports, they're causing you to already, like, not really be critically thinking about anything. So just like with what allegedly was said in the news report. Was it said? We don't know, because there was never an audio clip of what she said.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle also spoke out against what she said.
Any comparisons to the Holocaust, it's beyond reprehensible. I don't even have words to describe how disappointing it is to see this hyperbolic speech that frankly amps up and plays into a lot of the anti-Semitism that we've been seeing in our society today.
And Speaker Pelosi says the mask mandate in the House chamber will stay in place until more members get vaccinated. So far, more than 100 GOP representatives haven't said whether or not they've taken the shot. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley, KTLA 5 News.
Allegedly said. So, I mean, that's basically like where I wanted to really go with the video, is that, did you notice that? Did you notice that they just threw out a bunch of accusations without any evidence? Just some assumptions? Because if you already got a bias against a certain person, you're not going to be critically thinking. Like I said, I was open-minded if that person said that thing. But could it be like one of those over-exaggerations to express a point? Is that so bad? Is that so, like, harmful? Is that like the whole Holocaust Holocaust comparisons? You know, could it be oppression? I mean, I'm still probably going to still wear it just because, you know, hide my identity. So when I'm in public, you know, how many celebrities do you think that you have actually been next to at the grocery store? Because now that they're wearing masks, because I honestly believe that there's a few celebrities that I shopped at the grocery store with. I can't say exactly who, but I'm thinking like the mask was on their face. I mean, you could tell like a girl's personality and her curves and be like, wow, that's abnormally wonderful kind of stature. But